Hi everybody, in this video I want to talk about how to make a box and whisker plot. So I'm going to kind of go through this slowly, and I'm going to actually review a couple other values that we do not need to find on the box and whisker plot too, but that's kind of our main goal for this video. So I'm giving us a situation. It says number of minutes that a student worked on their math e-learning assignments. And so you're going to see I have 14 numbers here, so I must have done it around the time that we'd have like 14 days of e-learning. I did just make these up, but so we got 10, 12, 15, 15, 15, 17, 18, 20, 25, 26, 28, 29, 30, and 32. So we figured that this is like number of minutes per day that a kid worked on e-learning for math. The first thing that they ask us to find is the mean. And if you don't remember, I always kind of remember mean is like the average. And I find that number by adding up all the values, and then I divide by the number of values that there were. So I'm going to add all those numbers together, and then after I do that, I'm going to divide by the number of numbers that I have. So I'm going to go to my calculator for this. I'm going to add together then the 10 plus 12 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 17 plus 18 plus 20 plus 25 plus 26 plus 28 plus 29 plus 30 and plus 32. And I definitely would take a minute to kind of make sure that you added all of those values together correctly, just because if you made a mistake, then that's going to throw off your whole answer. But when I added together all of the values, I got 292. So then to find the average, I have to divide that by the number of values that I have. So I counted that I have 14 values here. So then I'm going to take my 292 and divide it by 14. I'm getting 20.85714, and then the number kind of goes on forever. But I'm going to round that to be about 20.9. So I'm just going to round it to the nearest tenths place. So that would mean out of, like for this kid, out of the 14 days that we looked at, on average, they worked for about 21 minutes or so on their math e-learning assignments. So again, that was for the mean. The next thing that I want to look at is median. And median is kind of like the number that's in the middle. And I remember, if you were to think about like the median in the road, you're not supposed to hit it, but it's right in the middle of the road. But so then if I'm to find the median, I need to look at the number that's in the middle of all of my data. So I want to make sure when I'm doing this that all of my numbers are already in numerical order, going from least to greatest. I actually did that for you guys. So we're good to go there. And then I'm essentially just looking for the number in the middle. If you want to kind of mark on there, like I usually kind of go on from the outside inwards. Sometimes people, if you're in person on your paper, you could put your finger on each one at a time. I'm just going to make a little bit of mark because I know you guys can't see that. But so I'm going towards the middle. I want to figure out which one's in the very middle. So I'm going to keep doing that. And you're actually going to see it looks like the middle is going to be right in between 18 and 20, which should hopefully make sense to you guys because we had an even number of values. We had 14 values. So if I was to look here, I know the middle would be in between. Oops, and that kind of just covered that up. The middle would be in between the 18 and the 20. So then if that's the middle, to be able to find the median, then I have to average those two numbers together. So then that'd be like 20 plus 18 is going to be 38. And when I divide 38 by 2, that would be 19. So that's essentially like right in the middle of 18 and 20. And then the mode is the number that, and I guess I can define on there again. So we said median is essentially the number in the middle, and we just have to make sure that the numbers are in order first. And the mode is going to be the value that appears the most. Sometimes there is no mode, but here it should be 15. That 15 appeared 3 times. So those numbers you guys have probably been finding for quite a while, mean, median, and mode, those should be pretty easy. Hopefully that's like a pretty simple review for us. The next thing that I wanted to take a look at is minimum and maximum. I think that those are even more self-explanatory. Minimum here should be 10, maximum here should be 32. The next two numbers might be things that you guys haven't seen in a while. So the next thing that I wanted to look at was the lower quartile, and then I want to look at the upper quartile. So to find the lower quartile, I kind of keep in mind, it's like I want to take the median of the first half of the numbers. So if we figure the overall median came in between 18 and 20, well, so then now I want to look at the number that's in the middle of the first half, and then for upper quartile, I'm going to take a look at the number It's in the middle of the second half. So I'm essentially going to do the same thing I did before, but now just looking at each half. So I'm going to use a different color. So I would have had 10 and 18 are like on the sides of each half. Then I'm going to kind of go to the next one. Okay. And I just like want to keep getting to the middle. So the middle of this first half should be 15. So that would be considered to be my lower quartile. Sometimes they call it the first quartile. And I'm actually going to write underneath it, I'm going to write a little Q with a 1 on there for first quartile or lower quartile. And then when I go to find the upper quartile, I'm essentially doing the same thing, except for now it's going to be for the second half of the numbers. So I'd be looking then on this side, and I'm just going to go to figure out the middle. It's taking me a little bit longer just because I'm trying to mark it clearly for you guys. But the middle of the second half of the numbers should be the 28. So then that's going to be my third quartile or my upper quartile. Again, I'm just going to try to mark it with the quarter 3. I'm using my mouse, so it doesn't look that great. Okay, so I got upper quartile is 28. And then I like to refer to this 5-number summary. I know that not all teachers refer to that or not, but I really like referring to the 5-number summary. And the 5-number summary, it refers to the minimum value, then the lower quartile, and then the median, upper quartile, and maximum. So if I was to look back at my numbers, so 10 was my minimum, my lower quartile was the 15, or my first quartile. The median was 19. Upper quartile, that value was 28, and then my maximum was 32. So I like having those numbers, and I like referring to the 5-number summary is because then when I go to make my box and whisker plot, those are the numbers that I need. So the next thing I'm going to have us do then is write out our, kind of draw out our box and whisker plot. So I know I'm going to need those numbers when I go to draw it out. So I'm using the computer tools on mine. Obviously, if you were at home, you know, you could be drawing it on your paper or whatever. I really kind of like looking at like what I want my scale to be first. So I think I'll have probably 0 starting over here. I can make, you know, like, I don't know, this can be 10. Probably about here could be 20. If I had really planned this out ahead of time, I could have had a number line, I guess, for myself. This could be 30. It is nice when you use like a formal grid just because it's spaced for you, but I'm just going to use this and this should be fine. So then this last one, so if I had 0, 10, 20, 30, and 40, that'll be enough space because I knew my maximum was only 32. So that's as big as it's going to get for me. And if you want to, you can be doing this in a notebook or something too, just so that you guys are like following along with it. And you can be drawing too, so you're not just watching me. But hopefully this is bringing back like some memories from you guys from when you made box and whisker plots. I know it's been a while for you guys, but one of the very first things that we look at in Module 9 is box and whisker plots as we kind of go into modeling data. So I think it's really important to have a little refresher on how to do the box and whisker plots, and then we're going to start looking at like histograms. We'll see some dot plots, and we'll just see different kinds of like data with statistics. So it'll be a cool unit, and this was the most, I don't know, probably the most basic way that you guys have seen like data organized. So when I go to think about my box and whisker plot, I always usually like plotting the minimum value first. And I know that that'll be like the end of my whisker, my first whisker. So I'm going to put a little dot here for my minimum, and then I'm going to put another one down for my maximum. So I know my maximum was 32, so I'm going to put another dot down around where I think 32 would be. And then after I do that, I would start drawing my box. So I know that my box is going to start where the lower quartile is. So that would be at about 15. So I'll kind of estimate where that is. And then remember the line that kind of separates the two boxes. That's going to be where your median was. So that'll be at about 19. And then the end of the box is going to be where your third quartile is. So that would be about 28. So I'm kind of estimating where I think 28 is going to be now. And then after I kind of have the idea of where those are going to be, that's usually when I would go to connect my boxes. So I'm going to draw out those lines now. Looks a little bit funny on the computer, if I'm being honest. But should look, you know, about right. And then I'm just going to make sure everything gets connected then. So I got, actually I might just go from here to here, and then on the other side as well. And then when I go to look at my box and whisker plot, if you are having numbers that aren't clearly lined up like I do on mine, I definitely think it's, important to kind of label the numbers that aren't clearly marked. So for example, like this one, you can't tell, like right because we have the quartiles right above, it's 15, but for anybody that was just looking at this part, I would like to mark that as 15. Like I'd want to mark this one as 19. And then I'm going to want to mark the other two values too, just so that we can see exactly what all the values are. So this one was 28, and then our maximum value is 32. And then something kind of key to think about with a box and whisker plot is remember that each, like this essentially is splitting up the data into be 4 parts, and each part is going to be 1/4 of the data. So that means that if I was to look at this first whisker, 25% of our overall data is in there, 25% of the data is in this first part of the box, 25% of the data is in the second part of the box, and then 25% of the data is in the last whisker. So hopefully that should make sense, especially if we go back and we compare with our original list of numbers. You can see like 1/4 of the data would have been in between 10 and 15, 1/4 between 15 and 19, 1/4 between 19 and 28, and then between 28 and 32. So say that they were to ask you like what percentage of the data, say, I don't know, is in between 15 and 28, well, that should be 50% because it's like the two 25% combined. Anyway, I hope that was helpful and a good review for the box and whisker plots for you guys. Thanks for watching.